All right, everybody, get up. It's time to slam now. Get ready for the Space Jam. The space. It's the space. It's the Space Jam of Dual Redundancy. All right, it's Dual Redundancy, the only podcast where you can hear all latest in television and entertainment news with too many hosts with exactly the same opinions. I'm one of the hosts, David Allen, and another one is
John Berwick, and a third one is
Kyle Bridger. I would say that I'm the Bugs Bunny to John's LeBron because he's running the show. And Dave will give you algae rhythm.
I'm the one really running the show behind the scenes.
Yeah, this internet connection you're running for me right now.
Yeah, I'm putting you in the server verse of Warner Brothers, deep into the basement of Burbank there.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot to talk about with Space Jam, a new legacy, a lot to break down with that. And then we have a completely different thing with Schmigadoon, a musical TV series on Apple TV Plus, all streaming tonight, a lot going on. Hopefully everything works out, because already I'm forgetting this first segment. I'm forgetting, John. Just what is it?
It's okay. I forgot to pull up the file.
Oh, good.
It's in and out points.
There we go. Yes, it is in and out points. Oh man, Algae Rhythm, lay off tonight. We're trying to do a show. Let us have this. All right. Well, not the only mistake we're going to be talking about tonight. We're going to be talking about a little incident at the Cannes Film Festival. It wrapped up this weekend, and it seems like the president of the jury there, Spike Lee, was either late to his plane or something, because he prematurely unveiled the big Palme d'Or winner first. The Palme d'Or is the festival's like top prize. It could be kind of like an indicator maybe for the Oscars, like where the big picture nominees could be going. Past nominees have included The Tree of Life, Amour, all these Palme winners there. The most recent one that won the Palme was Parasite. It did take home Best Picture. As for this year, though, the 2021 Cannes Film Festival Palme d'Or winner, well, let's go to Spike Lee and see how he did it.
Monsieur le Président, est-ce que vous pouvez nous dire quel sera le premier prix? Can you tell me which prize is the first prize?
Yes, I can.
Mais oui.
Cool.
The film that won the Palme d'Or is Titan.
Wait,
Le
no.
film qui a reçu la Palme d'Or. Non.
Ah, on a évité le pire. Non. Ok, Tahara va lui expliquer comment ça se passe. Moi-même, j'ai mis un peu de temps à comprendre. J'avais dit à Thierry Trémaux qu'il fallait pas que ça se passe comme
English.
Yeah, so I don't know if he got exactly what happened there. The hostess there asked, can you say, Spike, the first prize of the evening? And I guess he said he took the first prize as in first place, which is the biggest award of the night, the Palme d'Or winner. Whoops, Kyle.
Yeah.
Whoops.
I mean, I could see why he messed up. I mean, it's possible. I feel like with these things, I feel like these things keep happening more. You think after a few mistakes, they'd somehow becoming less, but it's happening more often with like Steve Harvey and all these people. I don't know how this keeps happening.
Yeah, did Spike not show up to rehearsal? I mean, practice, guys, practice. A big mistake, John. Right? I mean, is it the language barrier? Is it just a mistake? First prize, first place?
Sometimes I only speak English and I get things wrong, so I understand. Things happen. But yeah, you'd think that maybe they'd give them a cue card that doesn't contain the winner until when they're winning. Like, I don't know. It just seems like why would they have that much information at the start of the show?
Yeah, it looks like he has like one index card and he just has them all written out, maybe. Going through them, was the first one on his list the Palme winner instead of being it backwards? It's interesting because it's like first of all, I don't know for sure. I'm assuming that the video clip that circulated the internet does have the presenter talking in French first and then in English. And I'm wondering, like, did he not hear the translator? But it sounds like he's responding to the translation, not to the original French. So it's like, okay, well, he definitely heard, the majority of the statement there. It wasn't just a complete French barrier. But it's also, it's like, have you never seen like any award show before? I mean, I guess minus this year's Oscars where they did it like the best picture like 3 before the end.
Yeah.
But most of the time, you save the big one for the end. Isn't that right? Isn't that how you want to do it? The top prize?
World. Not in Spike's world. He's like, let's give it to him right now.
Yeah.
We know what they want. We know what they came here to see.
Yep.
But I can see how he messed up, Yeah.
Innocent mistake. But at least he had some fun with it. Once it's out, and you just have to roll with it. And there you go. It was an odd film festival, obviously, with COVID, and certainly the ending made it an odd one to remember as well.
But he's lucky he was with other people, honestly. Because like if he was up there on a stage alone, like the other people like stopped him. What would they have cut? Like
he
the God mic off?
The first one is this. All right, second place we have this. Best actor is this, and best actress is this. All right, good night, everybody. It's like, like what time is it? What time is it?
I'm surprised that he didn't stop when they flagged. I mean, like if I was up there reading something like that and somebody was like, wait, no, I'd be like, all right, what am I doing wrong here? Something messed up. But yeah, I guess maybe he's just so used to doing his thing that he's just going through it,
Yeah, maybe he could have like stopped halfway through and said the Palme d'Or winner. Wait, what? La La Land, and just like throw that in and just keep moving. Make it. Oh, I planned that. It was just a joke. Haha. All right, that was our first in and out point. We have another one here. I think would be an interesting one for John. Netflix. We always talk about Netflix, and they're making a big move beyond television shows and films. The streaming giant is planning to expand into video games, and they've already hired a former Electronic Arts and Facebook executive to lead the effort. They hope to bring these games to the platform within the next year. The games will appear alongside current fare as kind of a new programming genre. I mean, similar to what Netflix did with docs and stand-up specials. Bloomberg reported that the company doesn't plan on charging anything extra here. The first offerings will be primarily for mobile devices. John, what do you think about this news with Netflix getting into video games?
It's pretty interesting. There's a couple of people already doing this. Amazon has their program that they are in closed beta for, Luna, which I got to try out. Google has Stadia, which is game streaming. GeForce does their own. There's a lot of people. There's maybe 5 or 6 people who are actually doing this actively right now. So I'm not surprised. I just wonder how much different the infrastructure is going to be. Instead of servers that deliver, video, they're going to need something that's going to have to either send the game to the device to be rendered on the device, or render it there and then send that media to you, which requires some extra CPU and GPU power. I don't know how they're going to do it. Having it on a mobile device almost makes me wonder if the actual app is going to render the game, instead of it being rendered remotely. But your TV doesn't have as much power as your phone in it, or anything like that. So I don't know, or like your Fire Stick. So I don't know how they plan on bringing this everywhere, if it's going to be available to certain things, but that's kind of cool. Again, if it doesn't incur any additional cost for me, I'd definitely be in to try it and see if I like it, see what kind of stuff they offer. Obviously, it seems like they're not going into the deep end with like an FPS right away. They're probably doing more mobile type games, maybe things along the lines of like solitaire or turn-based things that don't require a high visual feedback loop, so you don't need to have that high frame rate and that low latency. Is my thought.
That's what I was thinking when you were talking about it, is like, are people going to be playing this on their LG remotes, or like how are they playing these video games, or what kind of video games are these? Are they really low res? Like how
Yeah.
in depth are these video games that they're offering?
You'll have
Like
to
if it's
buy a new console. You'll have to buy the new Netflix thing, and
Netflix console.
yeah, you have to keep buying the hardware for it. They bring up like the price where it's like, oh, we're not planning on charging anything extra. It's gonna be included in your subscription, and I'm just like, sure, like maybe it will be, but then all of a sudden, the subscription's going up this year, guys. It's going up $2, from whatever it is, $14, $15. It's like
We offered you video games, and it's like, well, I didn't want this.
it's like, yeah, YouTube TV, keep adding like more and more channels. It's like I picked YouTube TV for the channels it had. You don't need to keep adding more and making it more money, but it's just like, yeah, I think eventually they'll probably definitely have different packages. Once it catches on, you can opt in for one or the other. But right now, it's in your normal package. But again, I think my guess, my pessimist in me, they're going to charge you a few dollars more. Like in a year, the Netflix price will just go up, and this will be factored into that.
It would be cool if while they're getting it nailed down, it's free, as like a beta.
Yeah.
And then maybe once it actually launches, it's an add-on or something where you can add for $2 if you want to use it. I think that would be a cool idea. And that way people can get an idea of what it's like and its capabilities and judge if they like it, But then, you have the in-app advertisements or purchases or whatever. But, I think that would be a better idea than just across the board raising prices for people down the road and just being like, well, we added stuff, So...
Yeah. But yeah, I'm interested in like what kind of games we're gonna get. You're starting as it said, mobile first. So yeah, you guys are the experts here. You're not getting probably the crazy visuals and interactive stuff that you're getting, but they did hire somebody that may show where they're going in the future. Mike Verdu will be Netflix's VP of Game Development, and he was previously in charge of working with developers to bring games and other content to Oculus, the virtual reality headsets. It's like, okay, maybe is that they hired this guy that focused in on like VR. Is this where we're going? The ultimate goal for Netflix is going to be maybe more VR games, especially if they're a production studio that they can record all this stuff and then they could put you in Stranger Things season 5.
Thinking in that route, I would almost rather them open a game studio to publish their games on other platforms than deliver games in this way. Because I think between their budget and their visual effects and their recording and their story writing, I think they could probably get some really interesting games and premises and ideas and maybe outside the box concepts, almost like we had with that one, I forget the name of it, Black Mirror episode that you can control.
Bandersnatch.
Right, Bandersnatch. Almost like in that route, but an actual game that was released on like a console or for PC rather than it being some kind of streaming game. But who knows? Maybe if they start this project, they'll say, oh, you know what? It'd be nice if we could do XYZ. Maybe let's pivot, and maybe they'll open a Netflix game studio. I think that could work actually, personally.
Yeah,
have it live on their platform for rental cost. You're getting that money again and again and again, and you never really own it. It's like that subscription service. That would be wild. That would be wild if that happened in like video games.
You brought up Bandersnatch, John. All I could think of is, while it was cool, it was also like it was so like rudimentary, and it was like you only could watch it on like, I think it was like your laptop, because you couldn't watch it on the main screen. It's like, this kind of goes like with this. It's like, yeah, you can't play these games yet on our TV or on our Roku or on our Google Chromecast, but you can play them on your phone. Like, yeah, I feel like the first few games may be a little, rudimentary to start.
Got to get that platform, that base down and solid before they can build on it. So interesting concept. I guess we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, and I think it's just because like there's so many eyeballs on Netflix that a lot of people are going to be expecting a lot to start, and it's like they got curb your enthusiasm, bring it back a little bit. It's their first time, give them a chance. But it's interesting. They're not stopping with video games. They also recently hired the head of content for Apple Podcasts as Netflix's first head of podcasts. So they're going into video games, they're going into podcasts, they're going into everything. Is Ted Sarandos going to space? Is that the next thing?
Yeah, he's trying to keep up in that user base, Got to be worldwide, baby. Netflix on every corner.
Every corner, right to the edge of the atmosphere, going everywhere. But all right, I mentioned podcasts. That deals with audio. Our final and out point tonight deals specifically with audio and maybe the trickery of it. This weekend, we saw a new documentary directed by Morgan Neville entitled Roadrunner, a film about Anthony Bourdain. It takes an intimate look into the life and death of Bourdain, including his global fame and pursuit of happiness. In a recent interview, the director revealed that he used AI technology to synthetically create lines spoken by Bourdain that he never said out loud. This has created a backlash and an ethical debate. All right, I got a lot of other things we'll add into this, what it was specifically, but overall thoughts. What do you think about AI technology faking the voice of Anthony Bourdain?
I mean, that specific instance, probably for this documentary, it's mundane, but I think about the bigger scope of what this could mean for videos in general, especially in the news cycle, that it's concerning. So if anybody's, likeness is being used in a way that is counter to what they believe or something that they would say or not, they haven't even said, it's wild. It's wild to think about that's a concept that's a reality we might have to face in the future.
Yeah, it's like the deep fake, but for audio, and it's probably much easier to not be able to spot because, you're not seeing lips move if it's just narration. What they did was they kind of like looked through all of his like narration from TV, radio, podcasts, audiobooks, all that kind of stuff for this documentary. And then there was quotes that they were just unable to find recordings of. So they used AI technology. Specifically, it looked like at first it was just an email that Bourdain wrote to one of his friends that's an artist. And the quote, I'll have to clean it a little bit, but quote, "My life is sort of crap right now. You are successful and I am successful. And I'm wondering, are you happy?" So it's like, okay, just one email. He did write these words. We're just adding his voice to it. But then that's not everything. Then the director was like, well, if you watch the film, you probably don't know what the other lines are that were spoken by the AI, and you're not going to know. It's like, well, hold the phone. Like, there's multiple ones here. There's more that you're not telling us. You're not going to tell us. John, what do you think about this? The technology here and using it specifically for a documentary in that way?
Yeah, it's pretty weird. I mean, right now you can go online and find audio generators for things like Winnie the Pooh and SpongeBob, and they're okay. You can tell they're fake, but you can tell that it's, been trained on, the subject's voice, and it does kind of sound like them. And if you could do the equivalent of squinting your eyes for listening, you'd think it was them. So the tech's there. I mean, this isn't anything that's too crazy. I think the big issue here is how it's used, and maybe if he had signed something before he passed that was like, yes, I'm involved in this documentary. You can synthesize anything that I've written or whatever it is in pursuit of telling this narrative story. I think that would be different, and I think we might talk about when that has been done for a couple movies otherwise. But yeah, without express permission from him himself, that's tough. I mean, I don't know if I would even ask his estate for that's because sometimes the estate's not even owned by people who have the best interest in mind, who more have the best interest in seeing dollar signs. So it's really tough to justify, I think.
Yeah, it's tough too because I don't know a lot about Anthony Bourdain. I know a little bit. I've seen some of his work, but I feel like he's one of those guys that is like a perfectionist that cares so much about every word and piece of narration. Like he cared so much about his work that it's like, well, wait a minute, I didn't say it like that because I never said that. Like, so I feel like he would not be happy with this. But I mean, I don't know for sure. We do know we got a comment from Bourdain's ex-wife, which I believe coincidentally actually I think controls part of the estate now still. I don't know if it, like, you know, how it ended. It is his ex-wife, but Tavia Bourdain was upset and disputed the director's claim that he received her blessing. Quote, certainly was not the one who said Tony would have been cool with that. So we got that. And then one film critic did also say, this tells you all you need to know about the ethics of the people behind the project. So there's definitely some backlash with this. The director added some more stuff and said, quote, I wasn't putting words into his mouth. I was just trying to make them come alive. We can have a documentary ethics panel about it later. Well, no, we're going to have it now.
It's
because,
too late to have it later.
Yeah, it's already out there. People are watching it. It's at the movie theater.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I get trying to make the words pop by hearing his actual voice, but if he never actually said that, it's weird that we have to think that his words could be fabricated. That's even something that
thing.
That you even have to think about that. Like, what are the implications of that in the future? That's wild.
Yeah.
How long till this? I was gonna say, how long till this tech gets good and someone can fake a call to your grandma asking for $200? That already happens without this technology. Imagine how much more convincing it would be if it sounds like you and
it's just a deep fake of your face. You know, video call to your grandma. Like, it's because it's like, well, where does this stop here? I mean, it's like, you're gonna recreate him as CGI. You're gonna have him discuss his own death too. It's like this just goes down this rabbit hole and just goes farther and farther down. And John, you kind of mentioned it a little bit, but yeah, like there's some recent examples of actors in people passing that then have their work kind of altered a little bit to finish a project. Carrie Fisher in The Rise of Skywalker, they used a bunch of old footage from Force Awakens to complete that. Don Rickles, is Mr. Potato Head in Toy Story 4. He passed, but they looked through the archives and they found all this material from past films and video games to complete that work. But for me, the difference between these is like, well, those were actors playing a role, like they were, playing a part. This is a real person as a documentary subject. If it was, I feel like that's slightly different. And then also it's like, with some of these, like they said it, they performed this, they did this. Anthony Bourdain did not.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, dude, I get it. It's weird. It's in a shady place. It doesn't fill me with joy. That's for sure.
Well, all right. That's it for In and Out Points. We're going to go from one Roadrunner movie to another. We're going to talk about it. In order to talk about it, we have to go back. So, guys, send us back.
We're back, baby. I was off, and it was a little bit softer this time.
It's okay. You were off in the serververse of
I was.
Space Jam: A New Legacy, July 16th, 2021, in theaters and on HBO Max. It is a sequel to 1996's Space Jam starring Michael Jordan. This time around, there's a rogue artificial intelligence being that kidnaps the son of famed basketball player LeBron James, who then has to work with Bugs Bunny to win, you guessed it, a basketball game. All right.
Nice.
We're going to break it all down. I got a lot to say. Let's start off. I want to start off with our resident sports guy, Kyle, because this movie was torn to shreds by critics leading into this weekend. I called Abomination, 31% on Rotten Tomatoes. This thing was ripped apart. So are you going to do the same? Kyle, what is your take on Space Jam: A New Legacy?
Well, I think it's time for what. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're stuck in the serververse for a second.
Yeah. So I think this is fine for what it is, right? It's for the kids. And I watched this with actually my 15-year-old niece, and she was digging it a little bit too. So I figured if it's good enough for her, hey, I mean, it's doing its job probably. And I thought there was enough like corporate ties nostalgia to get me through. We can talk about that later, but yeah, I thought it was fine. I mean, it was entertaining. It had some funny jokes here and there. LeBron James picked on himself. What more could you want? The first movie stunk. This movie stunk.
Whoa. Get that slander of the 1996 Space Jam out of here. I'm not going to be here for that tonight.
No, not for the first.
No.
Dude, it's pretty bad.
Yeah. It was one of my favorites as a kid. Last March 2020, the first weekend of COVID, I'm like, let's have a Space Jam weekend. It's definitely, it doesn't hold up, but
Yeah.
it still has a special place in my heart from way back when. Yet this one, I went in expecting the worst, and this wasn't that. Is it a kids movie? Yes. Is it a Warner Brothers commercial? Yes. Is it bad? No. Is it great? Definitely no. But it's fine. It's not as bad as everyone's saying it is. It's okay.
It's
a kids
entertaining.
Movie. It's fine.
It's fine.
Abomination? No. It's just all right. But John, what did you think of Space Jam: A New Legacy?
Oh, it was an abomination. No. I agree with you guys to a degree. I think why revive an IP if not to capitalize on the nostalgia? So I feel like it's not just for kids. It is also for people our age and who enjoyed it as a kid. And I think in that regard, it was not great. I feel like they took something that a lot of people liked as a kid, and regardless of whether it stank or not as a kid, kind of not bastardized it, but made it kind of but yes, I agree. Again, it is a kids movie, and I'm sure it's fine for kids. It's just it feels weird that they would use this platform that has that nostalgia and not make it good for nostalgia, But yeah,
I think I get what you mean. Like, why Space Jam? Why use
reboot
Space? Yeah, why? And why use Space Jam as your way to get corporate nostalgia in there with the Game of Thrones and all this Warner Brother? Like, why choose Space Jam? Is it because it's a kids movie and you're trying to get the adults that now have kids that watch Space Jam back in the day? I don't know. Like, because why Space Jam? I don't know.
You might have had a movie with this like serververse thing with Algae Rhythm. You could have just had that movie and then whatever, he had to get out of it, and it's like maybe it mix it in with Wreck-It Ralph breaks the internet, or
I think
it didn't have to have a basketball game because it's kind of interesting. Both these movies are called Space Jam. The first one at least had a scene in space. This movie, nothing to do with space,
and revolves
but
around
it's still
aliens,
Space Jam. It's server jam. It's not even server game. What is a jam? But I don't know. But
what I was thinking is, I don't know if you guys saw Ready Player One. I don't think that does. That didn't feel as IP jammy in your face. I think they had an okay balance of IPs showing up and all that. But again, you could have made it be anything. He could have been making a video game on Angry Birds, not or whatever, some Snake Simulator, anything. It didn't have to be basketball and Space Jam. You're just kind of taking taking an IP and squishing it into something else that it maybe doesn't need to be.
It doesn't
I don't know.
fit. Yeah, because when we'll talk about the story when I get to kind of my cons. It's a very convoluted premise. I mean, the first one was, but this one is even more.
Yeah.
The whole time I'm like, wait, what? Why? Wow, I'm just confused. I don't know. I don't know what I'm missing here, but let's start off with the things that maybe we like first, and then we could talk about the stuff we don't. For me, I would say, I mean, obviously it's 25 years. The graphics have definitely stepped up from the first one. You got Newman being blown up and it just looks like a flat pancake, back in the day. Now like we get these sequences of him like flying and falling around the planets of the WB serververse, and it's just like, this is cool, and it would have been awesome to see it on the big screen. And
Yeah.
like, so I think all that was there. John, what do you think of the graphics?
I liked it, except for the real life cartoons. I think that didn't do it for me, and I know that this has been a hot topic with Lola and how
we'll get
they've
there.
changed it. But besides some of the changes they made, I think they made her in particular look pretty dopey. It was weird. Like I don't know. It didn't. It was weird. All the characters looked like they had like they were almost on the verge of getting high. They were just like a little bit weird looking. I don't know. I didn't like it. I thought that was for all the graphics that were in this, I think that was the low point for me. Was the real life tunes.
Yeah, the real life tunes, I have to get used to that new sheen.
Yeah.
It's like a new paint or a new gloss over the characters. And I'm so used to the old school ones that it takes me like a hot second to be like, whoa, wait a second here.
Yeah, it's interesting why even Algae Rhythm like made them into 3D, because it was like, he's like, oh, you guys are rejects, you can go down there and whatever, and then they're in 2D, and then it's like, well, let's get this game started. We need you guys in 3D, and like it's like, why? Like it's, oh sure, it's like that's what the kids like nowadays. They want 3D animation instead of 2D animation.
Yeah,
but yeah. One of the things I really liked in this, because we'll get to some of the performances. They were pretty rough, but there was one that I thought understood the assignment, and it was Don Cheadle. He was hamming it up. He was having a good time. He knew, okay, I'm a villain. Let me have fun with this. And I thought he was having a lot of fun, and that kind of went to me as well. So I thought Don Cheadle had a good time as Algae Rhythm. But yeah, anything else that we liked before we can talk about the rest of the film?
Despite I hate all that corporate nonsense as much as the next one, but there were some that got me. Some of the jokes, they got me. And even with my 15-year-old niece, we were laughing at them. So, I mean, there was a lot. I will say it was like a lot of jokes about LeBron leaving or LeBron not go. It was like 4 or 5 of them. Like, all right, we get it. He left his places once or twice.
I wonder if they had like more jokes, but then like LeBron's like, no, we're not doing that. So it's like, this is like the only, you can joke about this one topic. That's it. And
I don't follow basketball at all. So those jokes I kind of had to piece together with context clues. You know what I mean? Like it didn't really do much for me. So I don't know. I get it, and I think one of the things that we can compare the original movie to this was it seemed like Michael Jordan in the original one was okay with being not made fun of, but almost making fun of himself and being a little self-deprecating. And in this one, I didn't get that same thing from LeBron. I mean, the whole movie, everyone's calling him King, even when they're losing and all this stuff. And it just seemed like it was a little bit ego inflaty, you know?
Yeah, because it's like surprising, because from the original, they're picking on him like for the baseball stuff and like how that was a failed career, and they like were really doing that. But then we learned from like The Last Dance, it's like he takes things very personally. So it's like he was okay with that then, and then here it's like, well, yeah, you can't joke about anything except him like leaving teams. And so it's just like an interesting kind of like, oh, they were really kind of more, I think, ripping into him when it was Jordan back in the day, and the maybe just he was more okay with it. I don't know.
Yeah, I was just thinking about, and I was talking with somebody else about this, is that like, could you imagine a movie that's like solely stars your personage, and just saying how awesome you are? Like, that would be so mind-blowing. I just wouldn't even know it's just so weird, you know what I mean? It's just wild.
It is wild. We'll talk later about LeBron and how he did as an actor, but I want to start off with the story, because I thought, as I mentioned, the story is like all over the place. It's because like I'm not sure I can fully describe Algae Rhythm's like master plan. They're using LeBron's fame to get credit for his ideas that he creates, that Warner Brothers uses. And it's just like, first of all, like, what are you saying about Warner Brothers? Because this is a Warner Brothers movie.
Yeah.
And now they're pretty much saying in the movie that they let everything be decided by this algorithm computer.
Yeah.
That's how they come up with their projects. And not only that, but Algae Rhythm mentions how he listens in on all our microphones. They're spying on our cameras. It's like, Warner Brothers, are you really doing that? Like, for your algorithm? Like, what are you trying to say as a company to us as the consumer?
Yeah. And also they have the bozo executives who are making fun of themselves, basically.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, because you're the one, like, you're joking about this idea of this algorithm, but you put this algorithm in this movie about you. It's very, very confusing. And then it's like, well, if you lose, then you're trapped in the serververse. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be honest, guys. Like, I kind of want to. That place was kind of, oh, I can live in, this movie, The Wizard of Oz. Oh, I can go and hang out in Westeros. Oh, I can go to Mad Max for a day. It's like, okay, cool. Like, I'll stay here. I'm all for it. More exciting, I think, than real life. That's for sure. But
it's like a bunch of different galaxies out there. You can travel wherever.
Yeah, just hop around. Anything's possible. You could be a cartoon for a day. But yeah, like, one of the complaints I saw, when this movie came out, was all the commercialization of everything, the IP madness. You hear the theme music, you hear quotes. We're added into movies. We're in Mad Max. We're in Austin Powers. I was literally expecting at some point to go into Space Jam 1 and to steal Michael Jordan from that film to be in this film. And we didn't get that. We did at least get some references. It took a while. I was like, we really not going to reference Space Jam? Like, finally, like, Bugs Bunny's like, oh, this sounds familiar. I've done this before. It's like, yeah, like, but I will say, with all that, even though they're going in every movie, I will say that was a good cameo when you got Michael B. Jordan to show up. I was like, okay, I see what you did there. Nice work. I'll applaud you for that one.
Yeah.
But what did you think about all the, going into different movies and all the cameos and all the repurposed footage that they used? Anyone stick out to you, Kyle?
I mean, I hate to say it, I actually enjoyed it. I mean, that's kind of what kept me involved. I actually didn't mind it too much. There was some that was over the top, but overall, I think it was okay. That's what kept me in it, because I was like, oh, hey, I know that. Oh, hey, I know that. So.
Well, I kind of wish like we leaned into that more, if that makes sense. Because I feel like there were so many times when we would just hear the Harry Potter theme music. There was like 3 or 4 times when we just heard it. And I'm like, well, let's get something from that movie. Like, I wanted, like, for instance, the teams, I think, should have been Warner Brothers properties instead of like this Looney Tunes versus weird monsters who have actual basketball players' powers again. Like, the Goon Squad is just like, oh, it's just like a spider person. And this, it's like, no, get Voldemort, get the Night King, get all these people versus the Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, I don't know if it was a rights thing or it's like, oh, the voice actors, people reprising their roles. It's like, yeah, sure, you're not going to get Daniel Radcliffe to do Harry Potter again, probably. But I mean, does anyone really remember Voldemort's actual voice? Get some actor, CGI him, throw him in there. The Night King, just put that person in there and just.
Well, it's like that. I mean, they use sound-alikes for the Toons characters.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So
yeah, I just thought, like, if we're gonna do all these references, let's go all in on it. Let's get, like, make this one special instead of, again, like the Goon Squad. It's like, okay, you're just weird monsters again.
Yeah, because it wasn't one of the Goons characters, his name was Wet Baller or something like that. I was like, no, we're not doing this. Wet Baller, get out of here.
Who is both water and fire, of course.
Wet Baller.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think if they had concentrated instead of trying to get a smattering of everything, it would have gone over better with reviews and stuff. I agree with Kyle. I kind of liked when they were hiding the tunes in the different IPs. I think that was the only time I was okay with that many IPs. I mean, I really liked, like, in Forrest Gump when they green screened him into all that archival footage and all those events. I like that. I like that they repurposed the tunes into these old movies. I think that was cool. But yeah, the flying past Harry Potter World 4 times just to play the theme and have a snitch fly by or whatever. I don't need that. I want
Yeah, like
I
like
want
go
some
into that
substance if
world
you're gonna do it.
and grab a broom to bring to the basketball game. Like take props from movies, take this from movies, like do something with it instead of just like, hey, that's the mystery machine from Scooby-Doo in the background. It's like get the, Shaggy to play in the basketball game. Get like something going on with all these characters because you have them there. And it's instead we just get them like in the background and kind of like a weird loop. Like you could tell like they were just like green screen and added in because none of their reactions half the time like match what was going on. And if they would just be like looking at each other. And like some of the choices are very weird to me because like first of all, there was a lot of news articles that came out where it was like, okay, we're canceling Pepe Le Pew. He's not in this movie. We're not putting him in this movie. But instead, they bring in Speedy Gonzalez, which I don't know. And then they have the guys from A Clockwork Orange
I know.
featured in the background. This is not a reference for kids. They don't need this. I'm an adult. Like that's a lot for it's just like we're really going with them as a prominent figure in this movie when again we got rid of Pepe Le Pew. It's like I don't know here how that went by, but
yeah, I don't know unless they specifically meant it for adults. And they're like, oh, the parents will get this one, and the kids will just look over it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I guess yeah, and then of course the script. It's like kids. It's a kids movie, but you could guess the lines a mile away, and I did. I was finishing sentences. It was like he doesn't need a coach, he needs his dad. It's like, of course, it's like come on, guys, like let's do something different here. And this dad, LeBron,
oh man,
I mean, yeah, Michael Jordan wasn't an actor. LeBron, he's not a good actor.
Boy, is he not?
And it's really interesting to me because I think what they did here, I could be completely wrong, but in the first movie, we had real Michael Jordan in a cartoon world. He was there with the cartoon figures around him. So he was in like a green screen studio, but he was real. In this one, the majority of the time, LeBron was a cartoon in the cartoon world. And I'm guessing that they did this to maybe cover up some of his acting. It's like, well, now he's just a voice actor. We can fake his acting.
By the way, not a great voice actor. Besides all of his recorded lines for when he's a cartoon, there were a large chunk of his actual lines from when he was a human that were ADR'd, that you could just tell were ADR'd. But what got me the most was while he was a cartoon, almost the whole first 5 minutes of him being a cartoon was just him going, and this half-hearted yell the whole time. And I was like, come on, dude. This is your introduction as you as a cartoon. Like, get in there, yell. It's just, it really took me out of it that he, man.
It's hard to get up to that level in the studio when you're by yourself, John.
And get someone in there and yell at you and yell back at them. Do what you got to do.
Yeah, get a ref in there yelling at him. But I will say, this might be a hot take. I think he was actually better acting with the cartoons than he was humans in the film. There was points where I'm like, when he was interacting with Bugs Bunny, I thought he was a better actor than when he was with his wife and kids.
I mean, that might be the case.
Which is really weird because, again, you're looking at nothing.
Nothing.
But then when you're acting with a human being, it's off. It's like, what? How is that possible? Like,
dude, I don't know. I don't know, man.
Maybe it was a comfort thing where he didn't like the camera on him.
Yeah.
Instead, he can act alongside a tennis ball on a stick, but bring in a woman that's playing his wife. It's like, what do I do with my hands? It's like,
By the way, they got actors to be his family, and they still weren't, in my opinion, all that great. I mean, he was worse than them, but I didn't think his family was anything special. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't really stick out to me as anything special.
I mean, the son was behind LeBron and Don Cheadle was like the third top actor, and I didn't think it was anything special at all. I just thought it was okay.
Well, then we got an and credit for somebody, a special and credit for Zendaya. I want to talk about Lola Bunny a little bit here. There's lots of articles discussing the desexualized version of Lola Bunny that we got in this film. I'm not doing that because that's just weird. I'm not talking about those stories. I'm talking about Zendaya, the voice actress here, because I thought this was a weird choice. I love Zendaya, all of her projects I'm in, but it was, I think, an odd choice to have her voice Lola Bunny, because I feel like she's like the only big name when it comes to the voice actors. Obviously, you have whoever's probably playing Bugs Bunny that's been doing it for maybe a few years, probably does it for the video games and the series and stuff like that. But it's like, I could barely tell it was Zendaya. And if it wasn't for that credit in the beginning, I probably wouldn't have been able to have guessed it was Zendaya. So it's like, why are we, like, are all of her fans going to flock to this movie now just to hear her say like 7 lines as Lola Bunny?
Yeah, there's not much for her to work with, because I didn't even think like Lola Bunny was in the script that much. But I guess to her, Zendaya is probably like a day's work, 2 days work, do a pickup maybe. And it was probably a lot of money, and you get recognition as Lola Bunny, and you get the nostalgia of the millennials, and the all the young kids are like, oh my gosh, I guess that's the thinking.
Yeah.
And also you have, because to some, LeBron James is a polarizing figure, so you attach another star to it and it looks good.
Yeah, I just think like, because the script wasn't there for her, and it's just there's like
but
so
for
little.
her, for her, it's like, why?
Yeah, it's like, why did you want to do this?
Yeah.
And why did the people like, oh, we need Zendaya for this? Because I'm sure she's not cheap. I'm sure she's she's an Emmy award-winning actress.
Yeah.
So it's gonna cost you for this. So it's just interesting. But I got some just stray observations real quick. I just want to bring up. But I just want to say, I love how in the original Space Jam, Michael Jordan lives on like a modest neighborhood street. He's just like, this small little house, 3-bedroom. Like, it's just like, whoa, that's nice little. This one, we're not even playing LeBron mansion, private courts. It's just like, we're not even pretending. Like it, because that's wild to think about. Like back in the day, like Michael Jordan, the biggest name in sports, is like just living on like, down the street from you. It's just
like I said earlier, it's tying into that, LeBron or whoever wrote it really wanted to hype him up and make him be the big dog, it sounds like, but I don't know.
Yeah. And any other thoughts on Space Jam: A New Legacy? Anything else to wrap it up?
I will say it's entertaining. You could go, there's worse things that you could do with your time, especially if you have kids. What the hell?
Yeah.
Like our second show. No.
But it's just like, it's interesting because like the reviews were so negative, but it was a big hit this past weekend with the audience. It dethrones Black Widow in the second weekend to be the #1 movie, despite also being on HBO Max. And that's been like a storyline we've talked about over the last few months, where it's like, well, these films are on HBO Max in the box office. How will they do? Are they stealing audience from one to the other? It's like, this film was available at home and was the #1 movie this weekend, kicking off a Marvel film. It's like, well, so it's all working. Everyone's getting a little bit of money.
Yeah.
So, there you go. That was Space Jam: A New Legacy. That's it for that. I say maybe we can squeeze in. I don't know. I realize it is the 25th anniversary of the original Space Jam. We'll just pocket that info.
Oh boy!
Later this year, maybe
2 Space Jams and like a month.
That might be too much. That might be too much. But all right, we got one last thing to talk about tonight, and it's the series premiere of Schmigadoon. It dropped on Apple TV Plus on July 16th. It has a couple played by Cecily Strong and Keegan-Michael Key. They go on a backpacking trip in an attempt to patch up their failing relationship. They then discover a magical town that is trapped in the Golden Age style musicals, and they can't leave it until they find true love. All right, let's start off with Kyle. What do you think of Schmigadoon?
I enjoyed it. I don't love musicals, so I actually enjoyed this quite a bit. I think the chemistry between Keegan-Michael Key and Cecily Strong is really good. I think that's what's I think that's what's going to keep you going in the show. But all the other little antics from the tourist town and the two songs were catchy. So I was into it.
The corn pudding.
Yeah, corn pudding.
Yeah. It's interesting that you bring up their chemistry, because I have some issues with I love both these actors, but like especially Keegan-Michael Key's character, which I'll get to in a little bit. But first, I want to hear John's opinion on the show.
I liked it. I do like a good musical from time to time. I have been known. So yeah, I thought it was interesting. A weird premise.
Yeah.
I remember the person I was watching it with explained it to their sister what the premise was, and their sister thought they were joking. You know, so it's a little bit of an interesting premise, but I can see where it's going, and how it's gonna evolve. And I watched the first 2 episodes and I enjoyed them, and I might revisit some more, but you know, we'll dive a little bit deeper into it.
Yeah, I mean the premise is very unique. You have a great ensemble cast, and we mentioned Strong, Key, Fred Armisen, Kristen Chenoweth, Alan Cumming, Jane Krakowski, Martin Short, Aaron Tveit. The list goes on and on. A lot of musical people in this. So the cast is all there. I'd say like the pilot has to do a lot of like heavy lifting in it. They have to establish them, their relationship, their problems, how they get into this world, to set up the premise. So I'd be interested to see another episode once all the groundwork has been set up. But I will say, like, where do we go with this?
Yeah.
How long could this gimmick last? A season? You know, like how long are we going to be trapped in this world with them? I thought, you know, this would be a different show, but it's like, well, maybe every season it's like another musical style, you know, whether it's every episode or every season, you know, okay, this is the golden age kind of musicals. And maybe it's another time where it's like, get more contemporary one. And then who knows, you got a Hamilton episode, you know, where it's rapping, or you could do something different in different seasons or whatever. But I feel like, how long can we be stuck in Schmigadoon doing this, you know, for 5 seasons? You know, it's like, I don't know how long this premise can last the show. It feels almost more like a movie, or maybe like an extended SNL skit, like, but yeah.
I completely agree with you. I don't, that's one of the notes I wrote down was, how long can this last? I mean, the character in the show is like, why not just leave? Just leave. But you know, how sustainable is it? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, and one of the characters, I think the one you're talking about is Keegan-Michael Key's character, and I had some issues with him. I love him, but yeah, just like his tone in this, and this is what he was meant to be, but he's just overbearingly negative, and he's kind of a jerk. I mean, it's like I don't even know what Cecily's character sees in him. It's like, oh, you got some free candy once? Oh wow, yeah, stay with him forever. and like yeah, like he does this move again, like on the anniversary, to get out of like, yeah, because she says all these like loving words, and he's just like, yeah, me too. It's like, that's it. And then he's like, well, wait, I got candy for you. It's like, oh yeah, you're right. It's just like, oh my god, like, you know. But
yeah,
he hates musicals. She does love them. And it's just like, so of course, that's like the reason. It's like, oh, now he's stuck there with her. And I'm sure it's like, well, he has to open up his heart. He has to find the heart rock that he lost to give it to her. So you could see that why they set it up this way. But at the beginning, I was just like, Cecily, just move on. Go with Aaron Tveit. Yeah. Screw this guy. He's not worth it. He's just not worth it.
But, yeah. No, I completely agree with you. And I just mean by their chemistry, I just meant how they work together on screen. Because I think they're funny.
Yeah, they're both great comedic actors.
Yeah,
and it's like, it's hard because like in the beginning, especially in those scenes when they weren't in this world, I almost felt like, are we doing like, they're both, you know, sketch actors. I mean, SNL and Key and Peele, and it's just like, it felt like a SNL skit. It just felt like I can't believe them yet. I feel like, you know, it's like, yeah, this is just a skit that's airing during Keegan-Michael Key's hosting of SNL. And so it's like, it took me a little bit to even just believe them as a couple, just because of their background as comedy, sketch actors.
Yeah, especially with Martin Short as like a tiny little leprechaun. That was, oh my God,
Yeah.
that was something to behold.
But yeah, and I want to comment a little bit on like the musical numbers. While some of the songs, yeah, were catchy. I thought some were a little long and dragged, and we kind of like got the joke of
Yeah.
them.
But
I have a question for you guys. If I'm looking too much into this, but like I felt like the musical numbers kind of, at least the visual style, felt flat, and I'm wondering if that's what they were going for as like the stage, the fourth wall style. The camera's not swooping around, moving in and out. That first one, especially the Welcome to Schmigadoon, it's like we see the town square and it kind of feels small and cramped because we see everything. And I just was wondering, like, is that like part of it? Is it supposed to feel like a stage style and that what they were going for? Or does it just feel small because of whatever? Was this filmed during COVID and had to be small? And I don't know.
I think it's emulating the stage style. I think COVID has something to do with it. There were like a bunch of scenes where it's just the two of them.
Yeah.
Especially at the bridge where, you see that it's like, a painting of the wall of the town, I think that that's both part of the style and because of COVID. But yeah, there was that one scene where she goes to the carnival and you see the Tunnel of Love, and you can tell that the riser that surrounds the Tunnel of Love has like a printed vinyl that look like wood, but it's just a vinyl floor cover, stuff like that. So I think it's intentional. I don't see any harm in it because I think it kind of sells the idea of these musicals. But I will say, jumping back to one of your comments before about the song being a little flat and repetitive and annoying, I think that might have been done to sell Keegan's performance because he's saying, "Oh, not another musical. I don't want blah blah blah." I kind of feel like they did it. They went a little bit too far on purpose to kind of give you some root into his point of view. Because I know if I was there, as much as I love musicals, if they were singing at me, I would be nope, no, thank you. So I kind of feel like that was done intentionally to kind of give his character a little more reason to be like, "Oh, let's get out of here," So
I get you.
I don't know.
Yeah. So for this one, I feel like I would like to see more. It's not at the top of my list. I have a bunch of other things to see, but I really would like to see like maybe the second episode to see, now that the world's set up, what am I in for? What are we doing here? Because like the first episode was a lot of setup. Sounds like John saw the second one. Kyle, you gonna watch more? You gonna stick with it?
I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna definitely watch another episode, and I'll probably continue it, periodically.
Yeah. I mean, or you could just watch the season on, which is another nitpick I have of these Apple TV Plus shows.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just me, but we did the Mosquito Coast and a bunch of these other ones. The episode starts. Okay, I clicked it. I am watching Schmigadoon. I am in. And then they start off this season on. It's like, no, don't show me this season on. Don't show me the trailer for the show and spoil what I'm going to see in this episode and future episodes. I'm already watching it. Save that for the end and get me interested. Get me to, did we hook them enough? Let's show them the trailer for the season. It's just is like, come on, guys.
See, I don't even like the trailers at the end. I
normally don't watch them, but like,
why
are you starting off the show? It's like, you don't have to convince me. I clicked play. I am watching. I'm not going to change my mind in these next 30 seconds. Like,
I know that they're especially with the original content, at least on HBO, that they stopped doing like the next episode trailer.
okay.
Yeah, because there wasn't anything for the White Lotus. I mean, I don't think anything else on
the White Lotus had behind the scenes of that.
Yeah, they do like their behind the scenes.
Yeah, which I skipped as well.
You're just out. You're like, nope, no time. The guy goes.
No more information.
The next episode now.
Well, it's funny you bring up the White Lotus because that is what we're going to be talking about next week on the podcast. We're going to catch up on some shows. We had like the Emmys and the Willy Wonka show and a lot of things that kind of derailed us from talking about TV. So we're going to talk about the White Lotus on HBO. And then, yes, finally, I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson. We're going to talk all about season 2 next week on the pod. Make sure you are subscribed on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, the blog, dualredundancy.com. And of course, live Tuesday nights on Twitch, twitch.tv/dualredundancy, 8 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you're following us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Dual Redundancy so you never miss an episode and get your reviews onto the show. I want to thank both you guys watching everything that you did. For John, directing the video show, getting the show up on iTunes. Couldn't do it without you guys.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. It's going to be a long week until I get to talk to you guys again. But until next time, I'm David Allen.
John Berwick.
And I'm Kyle Bridger.
And that's all we got for Dual Redundancy. Goodbye, everybody.